Hi, Romesh Shivastu here, Editor-in-Chief, SightsIn Plus. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe this for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs. Today, agenda for the discussion is the role of CHROs in 2023. And we have an opportunity for the conversation with Dr. Aquil Busrai, a renowned thought leader, founder, and CEO of the Aquil Busrai Consulting. Welcome, Dr. Aquil.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Sir, I was learning about you, and I got to know that you have faced a lot of challenges in childhood, in your student life, some financial crunch, and some of the language issues, English language issues, especially. And but finally, you overcame with those all the barriers and hurdles, and got selected into XLRI Jamshedpur, and also in IIM Calcutta. But finally, you opted XLRI Jamshedpur for the admission. And after that, you never looked back. You have worked with top-notch companies like Blue Star, like Unilever, Motorola, Cell, and IBM. So my question is that how have you been able to convert these difficulties into the opportunities?
First of all, I'm grateful that you would go through that book from Dr. Rao and Arvind, which mentions this
Leaders
episodes,
in making.
Leaders in the Making. It's a very powerful book, and both have done justice to the whole leadership style of many people and learning from there. I would not say I controlled anything, Ramesh. I would it be too much of presumptions on our part to say that we are in control of everything. We go through certain patches in our life. Some phases teach you a lot. Some phases almost bring you to the breaking point. And at that age and juncture in my life, I don't think I had control over the situation. So I must actually be grateful to Almighty for uh, sailing me through safely through that, and also to people around me, my teachers, my colleagues, and later on in life with my professional colleagues and people I worked with, my bosses, my peers. I think we get shaped by people around us to such an extent that we sometimes even fail to acknowledge it. And I think that gratefulness of having good people around you is a quality that um, I cherish a lot. I am genuinely grateful. I'm not just saying it to sound nice. I'm genuinely grateful for the opportunity. Those tough days are over. My mother was responsible for sailing me through this. I was the only child. And to her credit, that she was insisting on study and study hard. Whether she could afford it or not was secondary. And she never made me feel that we could not afford, which we could not. But her emphasis that I must study hard and must make something out of my life was a very big propelling factor.
Yes, absolutely. I must say that you inspired to a lot of HR professionals and professionals, especially those who are coming from the small towns, having some language issues, broken English. You can say you can also count on me. So now coming to the context, if you see now either war is going on between employer and employee. The employee started moonlighting. The company started laying off. The companies started layoffs, the employees started the quiet quitting, and the employees started quiet quitting, the companies started quiet hiring. So, in such a historic scenario, how do you foresee the evolved role of CHROs in this year, 2023?
First of all, Ramesh, I look at this issue very differently. I don't see that as a confrontation between the organization and employees. They're not paying each other. Uh, some companies are going through layoff, reducing numbers, they get highlighted in media. Some companies are strengthening their strength and increasing the numbers, which sometimes get little less highlighted. And that the employees are quitting is a phenomenon which is true. But again, let's not be so carried away by the poster boys of industry and media. The IT, the ITES, and the knowledge industry is like the poster boy for media to report upon and say, oh, there's a high rate of quitting. You go to manufacturing sector, go to service sector, go to MSMEs and SMEs. The scenario is very different. So it's not that everyone is quitting. There's a huge pandemic of people quitting. And certainly they're not quitting to as a quid pro quo to companies layoff. Layoff is a cycle of business. And I don't think anybody in the right sense enjoys laying off. They do it because it is a business compulsion. And coming to your question, what is the role of HRO, CHRO going to be in 23 and onwards? I foresee, Ramesh, two major areas in which CRO's life will depend, reputation will depend upon. And one is to understand business thoroughly. And I mean this very seriously. Many of us understand PBT, PAT, CAGR to the last decimal point, but sometimes we do not pay attention to what is really bothering the business leaders in running the business, what's happening to competition, what is competition doing in connection with our survival, are they kicking our rice bowl, what is technology change happening around us, indirectly, directly, what is the environment happening, what is happening in the environment. So we become cloistered. I'm not saying all HR, but many HR people. They feel their service is to the business. You ask them, who's your customer? There's a line manager. I have a different view. Your customer is the person who buys your service or product. And that decision to buy or not to buy is dependent upon how well you are positioned in the market. Do HR people understand that? Do they prepare employees to become that cutting edge for the business? I think there's a lot of improvement required there. So in coming years, there'll be much more demand on HROs to align with business, not just provide service, not just provide what is needed for time being, but align with business. And second point, Ramesh, is do it proactively before being asked. Don't wait for a menu card to come and say, what do you want? HR should be able to anticipate what are the things that will add value to business. And if I'm sounding any theoretical, let me put that to rest. I'm not. You can actually influence business. You can shape the business in time to come. And it's possible. I'll give you a simple example, if you permit me. Way back in the mid or late 90s, I was in Motorola, and Motorola was growing very rapidly, very fine company to work with. And we were the market leaders in semiconductor chips with plants in Austin and in Penang, etc. The business leaders were looking for one particular expertise in chip making. If I remember the name correctly, it was called VSNI or something. And that skill was very rare. There was one small company of 500 odd people in Noida, which specialized in that technology. It was owned by a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. And our business leaders wanted to hire people from there. So we said, no problem, we'll hire. So first time we hired some 20, 25 people. Second request came to hire another 10, 15. Then I sat with the business leaders in our meeting and looked at the future plan of expansion of the business. And somehow impulsively, taking sometimes a risk, sometimes stupidity, you might call it, I suggested that instead of hiring few people like that, and we can't use the knowledge of those few people to ask them what others are doing in the company because it's unethical. Why don't we buy the company? With pin drop silence. Buy the company. I said 500 odd people. We are expanding all over the other businesses. We are in handset business, software business. We can always accommodate them. And that discussion led to further discussion to buy a company because of its human resources. That was amongst the first acquisition, buying a company because of its people strength. And the finance people had given the valuation of the asset to be almost next to zero. Now, what is a guarantee that after you buy the company, they would not leave you? We didn't want to give them incentive or any golden handcuffs to stay because other businesses would get impacted. So the HR team, without knowing how to do it, we put our foot forward very nervously, very hesitatingly. Kya hoga, what to do now? But with the help of the line managers and putting our heads together, we worked out an alignment plan for the newcomers. And when the business wanted to have a time of about 8 to 10, 10 months for knowledge transfer, our first attrition happened in 14th month. The point I'm highlighting, I'm not bragging. Please don't misunderstand this example as bragging. But if HR takes a risk of putting its foot into his mouth, literally, we may not succeed sometime. But when you don't take a risk, where is the enjoyment? And if the risk works out, what a phenomenal credit to the HR function. And I remember my line managers giving us a smile to say, great work. Now, this is not bragging about HR. This is becoming sensitive to what the business needs and stepping up, coming out of our box of activities and job description and say, can we influence business? Can we shape the business? If we are cheeky enough, Ramesh, to say that we can shape the business, we will shape the business. It's a conviction in your heart that makes you do things that will convert that conviction into action. I'm a very firm believer that HR, time has come to HR to take charge. Don't wait for people to give you a seat on the table. This is very demeaning. Why should we ask, where is the seat on the table? If we are not there, people should ask, where is HR? If we can create that ambience, if we can create that situation where we are seen to be adding value, we would have done justice. And this will, not theoretical, this will become the call of the future. Proactiveness, helping business survive and grow. Post-COVID is not easy. Business leaders are under tremendous challenge to recover losses and market share lost during the COVID. Let's not forget the past so easily. They are going through challenges. So layoff and all that you mentioned is because the situation is not same post-COVID. We are still recovering from the COVID disaster that business felt. And this is the time for HR to play with big boys and big girls and contribute as partner, not just support business. Understand what is required, anticipate in advance, proactively, and say, I'll do it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I've noted down you both the point. Understand the business and be proactive. And second, absolutely, all the businesses by the people and for the people. If there are a lot of challenges, so there are also a lot of opportunities. If you can overcome with these challenges, so you have a lot of opportunities. Another, if I refer some of the report, so the focus is going to shift on quite hiring rather than the talent acquisition. Is from talent acquisition, the focus that would be shifted to the talent management part. The flexibility, that is going to be another focus area, and the work-life balance, that may be also one of the focus area for the CHROs in this year. So what is your take on this?
Very valid point you are raising, Ramesh. Times are changing. Employees' expectations are changing. What COVID has made them experience, some people have got convinced that work from home was the best thing to happen. And in many quarters, there's a reluctance to go back to brick and mortar office. Some companies have gone from one extreme to the other. One big company yesterday announced that from now on, we'll go fully from working from office. Yesterday. Same company in April 2020 had announced that from now on, we will go completely work from home. Now see the dichotomy. Take a stand and stick to it. Swaying with the wind doesn't give confidence to people. Do what is right for the organization. Just committing that work from home is the panacea to all illnesses is not right. In many industries, that is not practical. I mean, it's so obvious that in manufacturing, you have to come to physical work. Now, if it is possible, do by all means accommodate the flexible system. And if it's not possible, be transparent. So only those people who can align to your way of working will join you. Do not force fit employees, and don't, last thing one should do is promise them we'll look into it. Take people with transparent charter. This is how we'll work. And if they feel that is the right place to join, right place to grow in the career, they will join you and they'll stay with you. When people don't stay, do not always blame the employees. Take the blame on ourselves as an organization and leaders of the organization. Did we deliver to them what they expected? Or even in the first place, did we even understand what they expected? Or we just went by numbers? Sometimes we go by numbers. If we have understood, that means your first foundation of retention is recruitment. I spent half my life in Unilever, and I can say very proudly, sir, that Unilever has one of the finest selection process for talent. I'm not bragging because I was there. There are other companies like ITC, Procter & Gamble. They are also excellent recruiters. But look at the commonality. They recruit very carefully. In Unilever, you could not hire a management trainee unless minimum 2 vice presidents were present in the panel of selection. Now, those vice presidents are only 15 or 20 in number, not like many companies where you have 75 vice presidents. The point is that the senior management must involve itself in hiring people. Pay attention to hiring right people, and your attrition will be low. If people find flexibility, etc., try to accommodate and do all your best, but move with the time. If you are not contemporary in your HR practices, good people will not join you and better people will leave you. This is a seller's market, this is not buyer's market. Employees are in demand, good quality employees are in short supply. But at the same time, do what is right for the company. Do not bend so much backward that you have to withdraw your decision later on because the company cannot afford it or is not found feasible later on. Be consistent. Be consistent in your behavior, in your approach, in your philosophy and your strategy. That will give faith to the people that, okay, this company is the right place to join. They're at least consistent. Good or bad is separate matter, but it is the right place to join and make a career.
Another point, I'm coming to the attrition part. So, like other employees, the HR professionals, they're also the employee of the organization. And they're also quitting. Last year, what we can see in reports that the turnover, the highest turnover that has been reported, around 15% for the HR professionals. So, how do you see this in your opinion? What is your opinion to this?
But that's a very difficult question to ask an HR person, but it's a reality that there has been a high churn in HR function itself. And in some cases, the line managers lose faith in some of these HR functions to say, you can't manage your own house. What are you trying to teach us how to manage attrition? CHRO attrition gets more attention. And I would not become ostrich in the sand, head in the sand, to say it doesn't exist. It is existing. But look at it this way, that the churn happens for 2 reasons. One positive reason, which means the opportunity outside. And second is a negative reason where constraints and restraints dominate within. Today, I feel that in certain section of industry, opportunities are increasing manifold. And if some CHROs or HR people are attracted to that type of opportunities, I don't think we should blame them for that. But if the constraints are within the company and we lose HR people themselves, then I think it's the top management responsibility to review where we are bleeding. One thing is certain, you cannot ignore this issue. It's a tip of an iceberg. Much more has happening underwater than what is visible over the surface. And if we are cognizant of the reason why this is happening, then we'll be able to stem that. Now, if you means any one of us resort to ESOP or extra bonus or retention bonus, etc., to retain people, in my personal view, and very strictly personal view, short term. Increase responsibility, increase accountability, increase their ability to act more in an independent manner. Don't talk about empowerment. Give them tough tasks to achieve. And when they achieve, reward them, recognize them. Be with them to understand where they are failing, where they are finding difficulties. Nurture them. Now, all this means time. And if senior managers think that their only time is to be spent at the board level and at strategy meeting level, not with the people, then they deserve to lose good people. No sympathy for those type of senior management people. But in practice, industry is going through a churn. And to your point that whether HR people themselves are going to a highest figure, I think the last I read, and all surveys give different figures, Gomesh, I read was 8 to 9% was the attrition for HR people generally, although these figures can vary from sector to sector. It may be very high in certain knowledge industry, may be very low in some service industry. And I'm not trying to justify indirectly. Please don't misunderstand. There is attrition of HR people, and it must be stemmed. You cannot teach line managers and with credibility if you cannot manage your house in order. Simple as that. We got to look within. We got to introspect within HR and say, what is it that makes our own people leave? And if you can't find the answer for that, then stop giving gyan to line managers. Put your house in order first.
My next question is, I think the HR professionals, those who are looking for the job, that would be the interesting question for them. How do you anticipate the job market for the HR professionals in this year, 2023? And if you can talk about your projection for the 2025.
25. So if you permit, let me go 2 years back.
Right.
The context. During the COVID period, HR earned a lot of credibility. They did a fantastic job across industries. When many leaders, business leaders were fumbling as to how to manage this type of situation, which nobody had an idea, HR actually stood up for what its charter is. And they brought this whole concept of empathy. First time that word entered industrial lexicon, and people said, this is the right way to deal with a situation which nobody knows the answer. And HR played a lead role in looking after employees' interest using this famous armor that they took out called empathy, and really understood what the employees want and how we can help them in a small way. Not monetary help only. Giving dry ration in some places was very thoughtful, but that was not what was driving employees. It was the concern that HR made line managers and supervisors say, pay attention to your employees and connect with them any means, on phone, on video call. And that connection, etc., brought employees satisfaction that there is somebody to look after our interest. That is history. Going forward, maybe ask you what will be the job market for HR? I foresee a major shift in tectonic plate happening in many organizations. More and more line managers who are good with handling people issues, but do not have HR background or qualification, will come forward, will be pushed forward to take on responsible role in HR. And this will happen. It is not your qualification. It's not the stars on your shoulder that will entitle you to become a CHRO or even HR manager or team member. It is your ability to empathize with people, align with people, align them with the organization and deliver what is needed for the organization. So 2 things I mentioned earlier. If HR people do not understand business, and if they do not have the ability to charge the employees to align themselves to the business of the organization, they will be sidelined. But this may sound very harsh coming from an HR professional like myself. I'm not being critical of my function. All I'm saying is that we got to recognize that going forward, qualifications will not matter. is the attitude, the inner aspect of dealing with people that will matter. So all HR people should not take his entitlement that because I'm an HR person, I should be CHRO. That is one. Second, also the requirement of the business is changing so rapidly that if business leaders do not provide the right type of service which business is demanding, they'll be set aside. And third-party consultants will come in. And I'll give you an example of training. Many HR people have this nice annual calendar, big book, big chart, what courses will be held in Missouri, what will be held in Mauritius or Sri Lanka, and who will go, what is the benefit. It was good at one point of time. It's time now for HR people like you, like me, etc., and my colleagues to throw those concepts away. Just because it was successful at one time, do not get wedded to it. Now, go for what is required by the business now. With blockchain, with artificial intelligence, with machine learning coming in big way. Automation is coming in very slowly into most of the organizations, some way or the other. If HR could anticipate which jobs will become obsolete in time to come, then they can prepare the other people to fill up coming jobs that are offering in the horizon. That means the whole, today what we see the neat organization boxes in the organization chart and job description, in my opinion, they will all get blurred. There's a demand by the business leaders to get more for less. So this luxury of having 3 boxes doing specific 3 types of work will go away. As a result, one may be seeing a scenario, one may see the scenario that 2 boxes will do work of 3 boxes. Now, I'm not saying quantity of work will increase. It's the skill required to do that extra work is missing. And if HR people can anticipate what is that skill required and fill up the gap before the gap happens, then we value it. Because they would have added to the efficient functioning of the organization and not stuck to the boxes that are already there from time immemorial. Or even if they've changed, the principle will remain the same. Second, using technology for online training. It is a tremendous market out there. And if HR people do not understand the potential of that technology in using customized training anywhere. Now, I'm all for this new method, but also have a word of caution. Do not take this to beyond ridiculous extent. Gamification, etc., is all nice. But customized training, what is needed by the recipient. Do not get carried away by the process of giving training, by the method of giving training. A tail should not wag a dog. Let's remember, a tail should not wag a dog. The process is there, gamification is available, let's force fit. We will harm the business. We will not add value. Use what is appropriate for the occasion, for the level of training. And to do that, you must understand business, like I keep on saying again and again. You must understand what are the processes available in the market, technology, and what is likely to change. Keep yourself aware of the future changes. Today, automobile companies were caught unawares completely when Tesla came in. 2,600 parts in an ordinary car compared to 16 parts, I'm told, in a Tesla car. So all the job of mechanic gone, repairs gone, garage gone, diagnosis gone. But car comes in, a part kharab ho gaya, let's go and change that part and change it, go away. Within 45 minutes, you're out of the workshop with a new battery or a new transmission. Let us understand the change is real. It's not theoretical and it's not very far away in future. It is knocking at our door. It has already started knocking at our door. And faster we in HR get comfortable with the change, the faster we'll bring about the change. change will happen. And those of us who cannot bring change will be left behind.
Right, right. So as the time is running out, if quickly in a 1 minute you can share what are the top 5 skills that the CHROs need in this scenario. We have only the 1 minute.
Okay, top skills. I would say qualities. I think first is to ability to learn and keep learning and not get satisfied with what one knows already. And learning means what's happening in competition, what's happening in the market, what's happening in technology, everywhere. Second is to change this set behavior of engaging with people through opinion poll, through dipstick, etc., and connect more with people. Come out of this 12 by 12 screen, sitting whole day on that. Go and walk the floor, meet people. Our agenda, the edge in HR is not negotiable. Fact is that who can touch human beings in the organization but for HR? And we are specialized in this. Let's go back to basic and touch base with the people, understand their anxiety, understand their excitement about new opportunity, come back to the management table and see where we can match. And last point, have conviction. Believe in something and stick to it. Don't worry about what opinion people will have if you believe in something. Recently, we had a lot of debate on moonlighting. I'm totally against moonlighting. It's unethical, it's absolutely unlawful, and it's immoral.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wonderful thoughts on this,
Thank you.
The role of CHROs in 2023. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Ramesh. Thank you very much.